Did your contractor just hit you with an unforeseen conditions excuse? What does that really mean?
I think a lot of contractors are very honest, but the dishonest ones, that's probably like the best way for them to get extra money out of the client. It's important that the client have a written contract. For example, the case that I just went to arbitration on, the other side's defense was, well, once we opened up the walls and we saw what the electrical looked like, it had to be brought up to code. Theoretically, I guess that could be possible. In this particular case, I asked him, did you pull permits? He's like, no, I didn't pull permits. You said it had to be brought up to code. What code are you referring to? And he's like, well, there's the Illinois code, and then there's like the city of Chicago code. And then he just started going on and on into what the Chicago code was.
It wasn't even in Chicago, right? So it's not even applicable.
Exactly. So eventually I went back to him. I said, you realize this property is in Rockford, right? So then what relevance does the Chicago code have? Did anyone tell you that this had to be brought back up to code, or did you just decide unilaterally? You know, that guy was obviously a crook. As a client, you have to make sure that you really understand it and don't just take the contractor's word for something being unforeseen. Put on your thinking cap and try to make sense of it yourself. And if it doesn't make sense, don't be afraid to say, okay, let me think about this, give me something in writing, and then go back and do some research. By not pulling permits, you're basically saying, I'm gonna get this done cheaper usually. Either the client doesn't want to spend the money, or the client hires someone who doesn't even have the ability to pull permits because they're not licensed, or they don't have a corporation, or whatever other reason that they cannot actually pull the permits.